What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the data points, what shorts did, and everything else you need to know for today. Before we get into any of that though, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi did have a pretty kick-ass day. One of the very few stocks even on my watch list that did close in the green. So 1.14%, always good to see that. 1243 the low, 1305 the high. So it wants to get back to that happy $13 to $17 range, and based on the Elliott wave technicals, as I brought up, I think it was in yesterday's video, it is projecting for it to kind of get to that range. But nonetheless, SoFi definitely did do very good today. Broader market, not so much. So the broader market was somewhat panicking over various things, one of which was this. So we did have good data. So we're going back to 2024 levels and kind of stages when we went negative data, because negative data justifies rate cuts. Good data doesn't. So you did see this change just over the last 1 week. So for the June 18th meeting, it go from 60.5% to now 28.6% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. So we're having good data even last Friday, and no different than today. So not necessarily the best. And I think the market over the last week and a half has started to really price in 3 rate cuts, because a lot of big names started to really state that there's going to be at least 3 cuts in 2025. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But again, it is fair to assume also for this week that there won't be any cut or anything, and that's for the May 7th meeting. But like I said, SoFi did do fairly well despite there being no news, no SEC filings, no new analyst ratings either, on a side note. So I feel like one of the biggest attributing factors why SoFi was doing fairly well was simply just a lot of articles, a lot of good articles really portraying SoFi as a good value play. And then as well, you also have a lot of articles kind of comparing SoFi to other fintechs such as PayPal. And even on social media, heated debate between, I guess, SoFi and Robinhood, and how Robinhood's CEO does a lot of interviews with pretty much a lot of YouTubers and stuff like that, whereas Anthony Noto kind of doesn't. So I think that's a very good representation of exactly the difference between Robinhood and SoFi. Of course, there's finite differences, but Robinhood is out there, just more innovative, and so during times of expansion, they'll do better. Whereas SoFi, more conservative. Anthony Noto kind of does interviews with Bloomberg, a lot of the big names, but not really social media influencers, which honestly I do respect, because I think that's advantageous, sticking to the big avenues and the big channels for the most part. So Bloomberg and whatever, CNBC. So yeah, I think SoFi is doing a-okay. And the fact that even just SoFi is being compared to PayPal, Robinhood, and a couple others, I think that goes to show that SoFi is desirable, in my opinion, right? You don't ever compare stocks if one is trash. So even though SoFi doesn't really move up as fast as a lot of people would really like, I think SoFi is still doing pretty good. And that's very clear from their recent earnings. But shorts, though, they were also one big attributing factor why it did move higher. So shorts did return 1.08 million shares, and that is net. Of course, they were kind of trading back and forth throughout the day, but net, they did return 1.08. 13.65% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 148.11 million shares. So maybe all these articles coming out and talking about SoFi in a positive light is more of a deterrent and just getting shorts off of their back. With today's somewhat of a bloodbath of a day across the broader market, a lot of heavily shorted stocks, like shorts were doubling down on those cases. So this is somewhat abnormal. And at the same time, you see cost to borrow minimum being positive 0.54%. So for those of you that watch my video, 9 times out of 10, cost to borrow minimum is negative. Again, meaning that there's a broker out there trying to pay people to short SoFi, but never have seen it that high where it is 0.54. So the manipulation truly seems to have ceased today. So that's kind of a good thing. Why that's happening, I'm not really sure. Again, maybe good positive data does show that the economy is strong, really moving in the right direction. Even though the market might not get as many rate cuts as it previously thought, it's still doing maybe a-okay. But based on today, so 11 million in calls, 6.61 in puts, 47% of all the options being done today were bearish in nature, and most of that actually was done right here between 230 and 235. There was 340,000 in premiums, and based on this you see a lot of bearishness. So ultimately for May 16th 2025, big money was really assuming, and clearly is betting, that SoFi is going to be sub $12. So it looks like $12 puts were purchased. So again, maybe they know something, maybe they don't, I'm not really sure. But based on this, the bulls, you do see a consensus for it to be above roughly around that 14 to 14.50 for this week. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 12. So still a lot more upside is anticipated if you ask me. These are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market. So like I said, big money just wanted to buy SoFi today, and honestly, I don't really blame them. With SoFi's kick-ass earnings, it to go down for that week net 3%, that's just crazy. Like, it doesn't make sense whatsoever. But so a couple big ones: 2.16, 2.4, 15 million, 3.19, and so forth. These are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool. So as per usual, fairly active, so a lot of big names and shorts like to use this, so take that all with a grain of salt. With it right now at 1286, trading between this R1 and the pivot, so 1413 is going to be the next strong target, and then 1187 is going to be a strong support. Right now it is moving after hours, and I feel like it's in conjunction with Palantir and 𝗪𝗓𝗓. Both of those are putting out their earnings, so we'll have to wait and see how that does play out, because I feel like that will really influence a lot of the tech sector for the most part. But aside from all that, and no new analyst ratings or anything on the actual chart, still wedge bound between the 50 and 100-day moving average. So most likely this week will be that defining point if we either do break above that 100, which is sitting at 1394, or break below that 50-day moving average at 1217. So we'll just have to wait and see, but I am a little bit more cautiously optimistic about this upcoming week, even though Trump came out Sunday evening pretty much alluding to that we won't have any deal with China, at least in the foreseeable future. And I kind of just find that whole thing just very, very comical. For those of you that actually watched The Apprentice way back when, I feel like now, like, it's that just real life version of it. Like, deals with, like, no deal or you're fired. He's going to be firing like countries. I don't know, it's just a comical kind of scenario. But nonetheless though, even if it does cause a pullback, just dollar cost average, it's very near impossible to call the bottom in this market given the circumstances. So best way to do it is just dollar cost average. So let me know your thoughts on SoFi. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe, I always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon and get buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point and bangers. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. Even yours truly, I did call out a buy signal, a day trade signal, where I said I think it was $12.50 as a buy, 13 as a sell, and that's exactly kind of the parameters it went for today. So definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.